it's a veteran group. You've got a lot of leaders, especially Grant Phil back. What does it mean to have this depth and leadership and seniors too?
Well, I think that we've been talking about this for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 or 9 years, that we felt that this team has to win. Our philosophy is to win games by committee. We win games because we try to have quality depth. That we have try to have an unselfish spirit where people share playing time, share the ball, and play to each other. We try to make the game as easy as possible, creating high percentage shots for each other, but also playing for a high level of confidence. I think that has worked fairly well for us, especially here at home. As we think about the returning guys that you say you label as veterans, we have normally been pretty good when we had older, more mature players. But once again, we need to have their leadership, but we also need to have full sum of all our parts working in order for us to be successful. We're going to play 10, 11 guys. That's not always easy. And sometimes early in the season, we're not quite as sharp as we like to be because most people have a 6, 7, 8, sometimes man rotation. We're preparing ourselves for the long haul, and we're going to have the same approach again this year. We've been dealing with some little, I guess you call them nicks and little small injuries that we still have to overcome. So we still try. So it might slow us up from developing that overall quality of depth. I don't think anything is going to hold us up. I think Chris and Anthony are not 100% yet. They can do non-contact stuff, which is good. At least they can get involved somewhat. But those two guys are integral parts of what we do. Last year, not having Chris for those 6 weeks and not having PJ for 6 or 7 weeks and not having Trent slowed our progress up a little bit. We're hoping that we can not have to deal with that, which would give us a little smoother transition from last year to this year.
Just having that experienced group, how does that impact practices? And is it nice to have an older group that can kind of self-drive their own practices, at least in terms of mentality and aggression?
Well, what it has done, it has allowed us to fine-tune our execution. For instance, last year, I think we shot 53% in transition. We didn't execute quite as well in the half court. So it's given us, a little bit more opportunity to focus on our half court execution and then try to stay focused on those areas where we feel like we need to improve. That being, I think I mentioned to the media earlier that we only shot 53%. We shot 53% in transition, didn't shoot that well in half court execution. We shot 35% from 3-point range. We think we can be better than that. We think we can shoot close to 38, 39%. We only shot 69% from the free throw line. We think we can be a better free throw shooting team than we were last year. I like to see us get more post touches. We like to get the ball inside a little bit more to our big guys. The fact that we only shot 69, we shot quite a few free throws, but we only shot 69%. We want to increase the attempts, by attacking the basket a little bit more aggressively, by getting the ball inside a little bit more. We think if we improve in those areas, and those are goals that we feel like we can accomplish. But then also, there are areas mentally and emotionally, maturity-wise, that I think we got to overcome. I think that there were several games where I just didn't think we were quite as sharp as we could have been, and we focus a lot on that. We've been working on that mentally and emotionally all spring, because that doesn't set well with us as a staff as to how we can have such energy and such focus in some games and then have 2 or 3 games, where it doesn't seem like you're quite as sharp. We try to eliminate those. And the approach that we're using is that we're trying to make sure that we can encourage our guys to not to take any possessions off in practice. We're trying to make sure that every possession of every drill is important to our guys. And we think that if we can use that as a measuring stick, then that means that we can create the same kind of habits, the consistency from a mental standpoint as we do for free throws. We're telling our players, you have to, just like you go outside, go out in the gym and you work on shooting your free throws. You groove your free throws. You groove your shot. You groove your left-hand layups. Well, you got to do the same way mentally. Mentally, you got to come in and you got to be conscious of the fact that I got to give it hard all the time. I got to go every possession. I got to go every drill. I got to be at my very, very best. And we feel like if we can use that approach, hopefully that would carry over into practice, and that consistency would carry over into games, and would eliminate maybe some of those games where we were not quite as sharp mentally, because physically we're basically the same team, but mentally we got to make sure we don't have any of those moments where we don't quite we're not quite as sharp as I think we could be.
I mean, the preseason rankings, I understand it's not a situation y'all are normally in. Have there kind of had to be conversations of kind of tempering expectations, or does the team kind of understand as a whole, hey, this doesn't mean anything yet?
To be honest with you, I'm not real sure we've had one mention in anything that we've done, any meeting that we've had, any practices where we talked about where we ranked in the top 25. It doesn't mean anything. It's preseason. And most of the guys who are voting has never seen us play. Most of them couldn't name 5 guys on my team. So that's just sell newspapers, sell magazines. That's part of the hoopla with college basketball. You got to vote somebody. And then we have some guys that don't have us in the top 25. I mean, so what do you allow to affect you? You know, the ones who don't really know who you are, or the ones who see, well, how many guys you got returning and where were they last year, and they predict, you know, where you're going to be this year. We just know this. When they throw that ball up, none of that matters. You know, it would be nice if we would go show up at somebody's gym to play and they say, "Whoo, they ranked in the top 25, so we don't need to play quite as hard." It doesn't work that way. You know, when you're ranked in the top 25, they're gonna get focused, and so we're gonna get their best shot. And psychologically, sometimes when you feel satisfied, sometimes you can look at your rankings and maybe not be quite as focused as you should be. So we don't talk about it. What we're worrying about is that we want to start off right because we want to finish right.
Obviously, I mean, you bring back, I mean, a big core of players, majority of minutes from last year. You also brought in a number of new guys. How much the addition of the summer practice that was new this year that you got to do kind of helped you kind of know now maybe who might be ready for what roles going into the year as the new guys?
A lot of coaches have different approaches to what they do in the off season. We've worked mostly on system stuff. Our guys spend a lot of time in the gym getting shots up. I think we've done a pretty good job recruiting skill players, guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot the ball. So our guys spend a lot of time on their own working on skill development. What we've tried to do is get connected as a team. You know, we have a system that's what we call is space and pace. You know, we have a great pace to our game, and we try to space the floor. So we have a lot of decisions to make in a short period of time. You know, we're shooting fast. Our pace is, I think we have the most possessions of any team in the ACC. I think we're shooting, our attempts are under 16 seconds on the shot clock. We're making the number of passes that we make, we lead the ACC in the number of passes that we make and the undercuts that we make. So our pace is really fast, so you have to make quick decisions. And we move the ball and we move our bodies enough that hopefully the defense will make a mistake. And so our guys have to make decisions. So we've worked hard on just our reads, reading each other, and at the same time keeping the pace and pace tempo. But we also want to make quick decisions because in our system, every time the ball moves, you probably got 3 decisions you got to make. One will be good, one will be better, and one will be the best. So we constantly trying to make the best decision as we pace and pace ourselves.
Part of what made you guys so successful to end the year last year in that tournament was the defensive intensity and the execution of the defense. How confident are you that they could take that 3 or 4 game sample where they played such a high level and turn it into a full-on season of defense?
Well, there's no question that that's the plan. We realize that, you know, we taught the same drills and the same philosophy at the beginning of the season than we had at the end of the season. So why is it that we were so much connected and we got better defensively at the end of the season? Well, a lot of it had to do with our guys being healthy. At the end of the season, we didn't have guys dealing with the same issues they were doing certain parts of the year, and we had a little more part to the depth. But they say, well, it's going to be very, very important that we defend and rebound. You know, we really, really need the stops. And if we can get those stops, and if we can get field goal percentage defense around somewhere between around 38%, that gives us more possession. And the way we push the ball, you know, we get some high percentage shots in transition, and I think it gives us a little cushion sometimes when our half-court execution is not clicking as well.
Y'all have the best home record over the past 2 years in the nation. How important is that, and what goes into that, especially with the first game of the season being?
Well, I think everything that we're doing goes into allowing us to be as successful as we have been at home. Number one, I think that the style of ball that we're playing has been entertaining for our fans. I think they enjoy watching us play at that pace, and so they've been extremely supportive. I think during those games when maybe there might be a lull, the enthusiasm from our crowds have given us a big lift during certain parts of the game. And I think our guys have worked hard and developed a lot of pride and want to represent themselves at home. And so I think it's all kind of a combination of fan support, enthusiasm from the crowd, our players being motivated as a result of that, our guys taking more pride in trying to protect the home court. And I think we've improved our talent pool, and I think our guys have bought into playing with each other, sharing the ball, sharing playing time, allowing the quality of our depth to be a factor in all our games. So I think it's a combination of all of those things that allowed us to have a certain level of success at home. But it also has motivated the people who are coming in playing, because now they realize that there is something going on here that's positive from our standpoint, and so now we're getting we're getting everybody else's best look. And so we got to increase the more games we win, the more recognition we get as a result of being successful at home. Obviously, the more energized our opponents are going to be. So it's a combination, all kind of works together, and we're trying to separate ourselves. We want to be considered one of those elite programs, and in order to be able to do that, you got to keep improving every year. And hopefully, this team will do that. And that's one of the reasons why we are putting so much emphasis on our inarguable, is that the right word, guard and goal game. You know, it's going to be. We're hopeful that we want that to be as game-like as possible. It won't be like the Jam with Ham, where we get over and try to entertain and do dance skits and I wear my lovely outfits that I have obviously has been rejected by my family, and I don't know what I could do to. It wasn't very pretty when someone sent a picture of what I had on last time to my wife. She had some very choice words and what she thought that I looked like, and I'm gonna have to come up with a better wardrobe for this game. However, it's going to be game-like. We want it to be as close to being a regular game as possible. We're going to divide our team up. We want one side of the court to be garnet and the other side to be gold. And we want to see whether or not we can have some fun, but also give our guys a little bit of a taste of a game-like type atmosphere, especially some of the guys that are being introduced to our home crowd. But also, we want to try to see can we create that atmosphere where it be game-like, where we can concentrate on execution, and let's have some fun, but also let's go see can we start showing a little bit about what we have to do in order to be successful, and hopefully when the season starts.